Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I have a nice, short, but fun little list for you guys, and this is in response to a tag video. Now, I don't do a whole lot of tag videos on this channel anymore. As a matter of fact, I've kind of gotten to the point to where I don't do any, for the simple fact that as this channel continues to grow, and I try to balance the responsibilities of this channel with my daily life and family life and personal life, it can really be a lot sometimes. So I'm really to the point to where I just don't have a lot of time for tag videos. But this is from a pretty close friend at this point. He's been a supporter of the channel from the very, very beginning. That is none other than Sharpen Blade. Now, I'm going to link Sharpen Blade's channel in the description of this video for you guys to check out. He is a really good guy. He's come a long way as a reviewer, and he's done a pretty good job of growing his own channel as well. So he tagged me in this video. I had to put it out for him because he is a great guy, and I do enjoy watching his videos when I have the time to get around and do it. I unfortunately, the last 3 or 4 months has been wild. I mean, I haven't had time to watch a whole lot of YouTube. So I'm kind of, every once in a while, I get a minute here or there. I try and get caught up and at least catch some episodes from some of my more favorite reviewers. And man, it's kind of a lot to balance. But we're getting there. We're still chugging along just fine. And really enjoy doing this for you. Sharpen Blade, thank you for the tag. You guys check out Sharpen Blade's channel in the description of this video below. And we're going to get right into it. This is the 5 knives that make me happy. Or 5 knives that make, not the 5. I don't want to say like, these are not like my 5 favorite knives of all time. These are just 5 knives that when Sharpen Blade tagged me in this, I thought, how am I going to do this? I was worried it would take forever to pick these 5, but I said, you know what? I'm going to open up my Pelican cases. I'm going to unroll my rolls. I'm just going to start moving my head left to right, right to left, scan, and just the first 5 I see that bring me happiness and joy, those are the 5 that's going to be in the video. And it was actually pretty easy. I was really surprised. It did not take me a long time. I'm horrible with decision making sometimes. And this actually came together pretty quick. So I think that's a good sign that these are 5 knives that truly do make me very happy. And with that said, we're going to get into it. But before we get into it, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. This channel continues to grow and grow strong. And of course, I cannot do that without my subscribers, without the people supporting this channel. I appreciate every one of you. So if you're following along, if you're keeping close tabs away in Sharp World, I really appreciate you, and you're pretty stinking awesome. So thank you for that. And let's get into it now. We're going to start off with the first knife, and that is none other than the Varga Knives VBR. Now, this came out earlier this year, and it was the first production knife ever by Mark Varga. A pretty darn good guy, and he's been designing knives for quite a while now. He was making customs, and he, finally decided, you know what? I'm going to make a production knife. So he got a hold of Riot. This is a Riot-made knife, and had some prototyping done. And I tell you what, guys, this knife makes me happy because when I put it in my hand, it's like hugging someone. I mean, it is so comfortable. Easily some of the best ergos I've ever felt on a knife. You have that Riot grind, which is just an incredible compound grind. I mean, I don't really want to call it a tanto because it doesn't have the tantoy point right here, but definitely a compound grind. You have a very nice hollow grind right here, along with a flat grind at the tip. Super slicey from top to bottom. Awesome looking swedge. Nice, the flats, the way the flats work with the grind lines, they just look gorgeous. Love the satin finish in those nice pronounced grind lines. It looks great. I like Mark Varga's maker's mark, which is pretty sweet. And everything about this knife, really clean blade too. You got the maker's mark and that's it. I love that. It kind of has that customish look to it, to where you don't have all the other blade branding, which I think a lot of people, that might be one of those things that people really appreciate about a blade, but they don't really notice it. But I notice that when I look at this, it's very minimal branding, and it's nothing, there's no real companies, it's just the maker. And that's awesome. It definitely gives it that custom look. And this even has a, I don't know, I mean, maybe I can't say custom feel, but it still feels really darn good. Love the bolster lock on this with that awesome Riot quality micarta, burlap micarta. Looks fantastic. Gives it a nice depth to it, I guess is the best way, because you see the weave in the micarta, and it's just nice and crisp. It looks great. Fit and finish is, of course, superb on this guy. Very nice pocket clip that literally, I mean, it's you don't feel it. You really don't. No hot spots, nice and flat, with a little bit of a wider handle. Not really wide, but wide enough to where the width of it on the outsides here, really, when it goes in your hand, you just, it takes away from any pressure or any real, I guess, touching. I can't even describe it, but it just doesn't touch your hand, basically. It does, but you don't feel it. I'm really crashing and burning here on trying to describe how well this pocket clip feels in hand, but it's basically like you don't feel it. So I'll just stop there and move on. Very nice lockup with the frame lock, or, you know, the bolster lock, which is basically a frame lock for all intents and purposes, but yeah, bolster lock. And so smooth. Did you hear that detent? Listen for it. So crisp. Fantastic detent. Just a really clean design in general. It looks gorgeous. It feels great. It slices like a beast. It's the Varga Knives VBR, a knife that absolutely makes me happy. And if you guys can get your hands on one, I can almost assure you it would make you happy as well. Next up, we have a new knife, or at least a very new one for me. Apparently, this has been out since last year. Shame on me for totally dropping the ball. It's the Hogue SIG K320 Nitron, and this knife has completely opened up a new world for me in terms of a company and a handle material. Now, I'm not going to say I like polymer handles, because I still, in majority, I don't like them. But this one on this K320 is just really darn good. It doesn't have a real cheap feel, but it's light. It has that nice, we'll call it texturing, because I don't know if I'd consider it stippling, but basically the same kind of grip on other SIG products that you probably know what I'm talking about. It just works. It works really well. The ergos are fantastic. This knife really, really reminds me of the Spyderco Shaman in so many ways, from blade size, handle size, ergos, the sliciness of it. In the action, it really is, in ways it's better, because this Able lock from Hogue is absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes I think a lot of times the actual model of the knife has to do with how smooth a locking mechanism is. Whether it's a compression lock or an Able lock or an axis lock or a liner lock or frame lock, sometimes just the size of the blade, the design of the handle really factor into it. And I think that is an example of that here. Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason, because I think people in the knife community in general would agree that Hogue's Able lock is one of the best axis style locks out there, and this one definitely is. I love everything about this knife, and I really like the fact that I actually found a knife with a polymer handle that I truly love. So really impressive. I didn't think I'd ever come across one. Of course, this was also made in the USA, which is pretty cool. It's got the little the American flag there on the clip, and a clip that's very nice, goes in and out of the pocket just fine. They even went above and beyond and kind of flattened or knocked down the contact point of where the clip touches the handle. It's harder to see there, but when I flip it over, you can see they did it on both sides. So you see kind of that little silhouette, kind of like that oblong oval, and it just looks, it looks good, and it works good, and it's there, but you don't really see it that much. It's not something like kind of like what Demco Knives did with the 20.5. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I like that they tried to do something to take away from the texture of biting the pocket, but this is a much more subtle way to do it. I really, really like that. And this knife in general, I just really love. I do. It works, and it's one that is going to be in my collection for a very, very long time. And it's one that for $127.46, whatever this was, somewhere in the 120s, just an amazing offering. One of the best values you can get out there. One of the best edges you can pick up on a knife. Hogue has some of the best edges out there. Just a great knife. That's the Hogue SIG K320 Nitron. Next up, we have one that you've seen on the channel a lot, but it hasn't been in the pocket recently. It's the adventure knife. It's the ZT-0640 that I've kind of customized with some micarta scales from Sharp Dressed Knives. Probably the best, at least in my opinion, the best aftermarket scale provider, I guess you could say. He does a great job. His fit and finish on his scales are fantastic. They look great. They're reasonably priced. And he really gives you a freedom to choose for the materials, or at least what he has on stock. I mean, you can't really get a hold of him and say, hey, I want these. But he does a pretty good job of keeping stuff in stock and mixing up his materials. It's not the same thing over and over. So he's constantly mixing up the flavors, and the quality is fantastic. So I had to pick up a pair of these scales for my 0640 and pair it with a Lynch deep carry pocket clip. And with that, I believe this is one of the best knives ever. Super slicey blade, but very strong blade. I like that thumb disc. I can't believe I like this thumb disc as much as I do, but it just works great for this knife, even when I completely mess up the deployment of it, but it works great. I want to get a little jimping up here. If I get a little jimping up here, I mean, I can front flip it as is, but it would be that much easier if there was some jimping up there. Just a super solid knife from ZT. It's getting closer and closer to where it may be my favorite ZT of all time. It's right up there with the 0850. I think most of the time I would probably put this one ahead, put it on top, but it's just so good. And even though it's not in my pocket all the time, it's just one I look at it and I'm like, God, I love this freaking knife. It is just that great. And this is still available. You guys can still pick these up. I believe they're $240 or $260 with the stock options, which have like the green carbon fiber and whatnot. But just a fantastic offering, a very sleek design, a collaboration with Ernest Emerson, and premium steel, if I didn't say it, CPM 20 CV steel. So very nice steel, and just a very nice design and offering all around the ZT-0640. Now, the last two, they're going to come out together because these knives kind of now they are tied together forever. And you're probably thinking, wait, why? Because we have a Koenig Arius and we have the Spyderco Swish Bowie. These were my wedding day knives. These were the two knives in my pockets when I walked down the aisle to marry my wife. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, they're forever going to be tied together. I'll probably be buried with these knives, in all honesty. Love these two. The Arius, if I had to pick one knife forever, it would probably be the Arius. I believe I said in my Wayne Sharp week from this week, that the quiet carry waypoint would be in the discussion. It would be in the discussion, but the Arius would have to be it because it is just the most incredible build ever. The quality, the action, the looks, the feel in hand. It would have to be the one. It would have to be the one. Fantastic knife from top to bottom. And the Spyderco Swish Bowie, this was one, I'll be honest, I think the only reason I really wanted it to begin with was because it was so hard to get. You know, the rarity made you want to check it out, made you want to feel it. I was never able to hold the first run of the Swish Bowies or the original runs that got discontinued a while back. So I was able to pick this up, and I never did a full review of this knife. Maybe I should still do it. I don't know how many people would really care about it because they're still extremely hard to get, and they're really not possible here right now unless you get them on the secondary market. But it just feels great in hand. Kind of a neutral feel, but it's slightly contoured. Got the nice deep carry clip, which I think Spyderco does a pretty good job of. Rock solid lock up there, and a very slicey blade, a very durable slicey blade. Big fan of this. You can Spidey flick it pretty easily. Some people think you can't Spidey flick this, but I tell you just get the nail in there a little, kick it out. No issue whatsoever. It's actually quite enjoyable once you get used to it. When I first got it, I thought it was difficult. It's all day. As a matter of fact, once you get it in there, it's one of the easiest knives in middle finger flick that there is. And you can also do the, obviously the thumb flick, and very good knife to slow roll with your thumb. So just a great offering from Spyderco. Love these two knives, and like I said, you carry them on a day like that, and they're not going anywhere ever. So these two are definitely two knives that make me extremely happy from one of the happiest days of my life. And that's it. These are the 5. I gotta say, these are definitely 5 of my all-time favorite knives. They make me happy for various reasons. And probably 5 knives that aren't ever going to go anywhere, in all honesty. They're just, and that probably also gives you guys a good idea of just how, I always say like, oh, I'm starting to like small knives, but then we have this. 5 really nice mid-sized knives with the 3.3 to 3.6 inch blades. You just can't beat that. You can't beat that, guys. Fantastic offerings here. These 5 knives make me extremely happy. Let me know, you guys. I'm not going to tag anyone, but let me know what 5 knives make you happy in your collection. What 5 knives would you make a video about? I look forward to hearing that. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.